So, welcome to another episode of The Bandwidth. Today's topic is how to overcome your fear of public speaking. I am your host, Rosie. Thanks again for tuning in. Some real quick housekeeping items. Please engage with us. So, we encourage you to ask questions in the chat. We will get to them during the conversation. And also, we will save time at the end for your questions. If you're not subscribed to our channel, we ask that you subscribe, click that thumbs up button, and hit the notification bell. We want you to comment your biggest takeaway. We know we'll be dropping some gems during this conversation. So we want, again, for you to engage with us and comment your biggest takeaway. And if it's one person that you know that could benefit from this conversation, don't be stingy, share it with them. And also follow us on Facebook at Rosie Faulkner or IG at Faulkner_Rosie. And also, if you are ready to go live, I encourage you to sign up for my 3 must-have tools. It's free, and the link will be in the comment section below. I want to thank the Style True team for putting this episode together. I couldn't do it without them. Again, the title of this episode is How to Overcome Your Fear of Public Speaking. Our featured guest is Megan Lane. She is a public speaking coach. Let's welcome her to the bandwidth. Welcome, Megan.
Hey, Rosie, how are you?
I am doing great. Thanks again for being a guest on the bandwidth. I know I gave a brief description. Please elaborate and tell us a little bit more about your background.
Yes, my background. So I've been doing speech and debate since about 2010, which goodness, I guess that was a lot longer ago than I realized sometimes, but I've always grown up loving performing, loving speaking, loving just being in front of a crowd. And I realized that a lot of people hate that. And a lot of those people aren't even people who struggle just day to day talking to people. So I kind of thought, I want to change that. I want to be a diverse face in this field. I want to be able to teach people how to really enjoy putting themselves out there. So I started my business Present in Public during quarantine last year, actually. And I'm just really passionate about sharing my passion with other people.
Wonderful. So let's dive right on in. So this is one that, like I said, we could talk about so much because a lot of people are so afraid of public speaking. And I just want to ask you, why is that? Why do you think so?
Everybody has their own reason. And I think what it boils down to is that a lot of us have very negative relationships with fear, negative relationships with judgment, negative relationships with failure. And those things really reinforce negative ideas in our head that cause us to anticipate performing poorly in situations like public speaking. So it really comes down to the psychology of it. And a lot of us also have mental health diagnoses that we're battling, whether it's ADD, depression, other types of anxiety, and that can also definitely create a bigger challenge when it comes to public speaking. But ultimately, we just got to get out of our heads, I think.
Yeah. And what are some ways to do that? I know most people say, have somebody like an expert like you walk them through doing it. But some people are just, it's not just public speaking, it's their voice. They don't like the sound of their voice. So how do you overcome that when, that's a part of you?
Yeah. I think confidence and self-presentation go hand in hand. And confidence, gaining that is not something that happens overnight. You really have to practice positive reinforcement to negate that negative reinforcement that we were just covering with the previous question. So a lot of it comes with, why do I not like my voice? Do I not like it because I don't like it? Do I not like it because someone else told me I shouldn't like it? We really have to ask ourselves the tough questions and get to the root of the problem, because you can change the pitch of your voice very easily. That's not something that's difficult. If you want to train for that, you can train for that. But if it's more of a social thing, if it's more of a subconscious and trauma thing, then, that's a little bit of a different conversation. So you just actively have to pay attention to your thoughts and your habits and realize when you're telling yourself that you can't do it, when really you've shown yourself that you can. You just have to believe that.
Yeah. And then with just changing your pitch, would that help? Or would you just suggest that, just be yourself? Like I've been told that I have a deeper voice. And I'm just like, okay, that is how I talk. This is how
Exactly.
God made me. And I mean, and I do understand that if you don't like it, you should, because I always emphasize write down the things that you can change, and then go about doing that. And then the things that you can't change, accept it and work on it. If it's therapy, finding a coach or whatever to get through it. But I think sometimes people that high-pitched voice or something like that could be something that you are known for, that most people don't have. It's like a lot of people want to fit in, but my slightly deeper voice is something that could set me apart from everybody else. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn about it because it's really something that, each person has to deal with. But sometimes I just want you to accept your unique characteristics. So that was
Yes.
a long way to say that, but
No, you're absolutely right. I fully believe that the only way you can be a good speaker or believe in your head that you're a good speaker is if you know that you're being true to you. And something like your voice, like you're saying, or any insecurity you might have, that's a part of you that we have to go on a journey of self-love and acceptance to really understand that it is our strength and it is our superpower. And people love it when you're yourself. And just that moment that you said, talking about your voice and how you feel like it makes you who you are, like that's something that can be empowering for someone who might be struggling to really understand that for themselves. So insecurity is definitely something that's a huge part of public speaking, because we make ourselves vulnerable. On camera, talking to other people, we open ourselves up to other people's opinions, and that's not easy.
yeah, and that is so true. And a lot of people have to build up, like you said, their confidence to take it and just to know that your message is what you definitely should focus on because, yes, we're, like you say, we're putting ourselves out there. So people are going to have something to say that is negative, but, does your passion to get your brand out there or selling your product or a topic that you are very passionate about, is that more important than, someone saying, something negative? And I think a lot of people just have to build their self up. So what are some tips that they can, do to make public speaking a little bit more palatable?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it comes with everyday practice. So when you're having a conversation one-on-one, are you practicing making eye contact? Are you practicing a good pace? Are you speaking too slowly or too quickly? Are you projecting your voice? Are you whispering, or are you talking where people can hear you? What's your posture like? When you talk about your opinions, are you cowering, or do you have your shoulders back? You have your chest up? Are you sure that what you have to say is valid and you deserve to be heard? And once you start paying attention to those habits and those thoughts, when you tell yourself, oh, I hear myself talking and I don't like the way my voice sounds, or, oh, I just said that. Did I mean to say that? Should I have said that? When you feel yourself thinking that way or doing those things, you have to correct it. And that's something that you practice every day or when you can, so that when you do have those big moments or when you are ready to present yourself in front of a crowd, it's a skill that you've built up over time.
Yeah. And so how do you do that? Would you suggest doing that in front of a mirror? If you have a kid, making them sit there and look at you so you can practice eye contact.
It
How do
definitely
you
helps.
suggest doing that?
Yeah, a mirror helps.
Yeah.
A kid or a friend definitely helps. But
Mhm.
I think sometimes you just need to make yourself conscious of it. Because if you're
Mhm.
not paying attention to, oh, wow, when I assert myself, I do kind of get shy about it. Or, oh, just then I was kind of self-conscious. Like sometimes we're not even thinking about it and we just go about our lives with these subconscious negative thoughts and not even realize the detriment that it really has on us in the long run. So, accountability partners help, mirrors and anything, but you are your biggest advocate. So just put it in your head and make it something that you practice, journal about it if you can, hold yourself accountable.
Yeah, my two things is, practice. Everyone has the phone, a cell phone that
Mhm.
has a video capability.
Right?
So
Yep.
do that, exactly. Do that. And then my biggest, another one is always watching your replay. So if you do something, if you're fortunate to do a presentation somewhere, watch the replay and critique it and have other people critique it for things, somebody that you trust, let me say, critique it and also give you positive feedback or negative, but it's somebody that you trust that's not truly trying to, make you feel bad or, yeah, just really wants you to do better. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, what is the difference? Is it a difference between public speaking and presentation anxiety?
I wouldn't say so. A lot of people have different opinions on it because someone may consider just a one-on-one conversation not to be public speaking. But I do, because I feel like anytime you're talking to someone else, you are presenting yourself. You are publicly speaking. But for so long, we're taught that public speaking is very formal, and it's what you see on TV, and it's what you see in the courtroom, and it's a speech, and it's and it doesn't necessarily have to be that. It can be a lot of different things, especially now when we're in a pandemic and I'm talking to you via Zoom. And this is still public speaking in my book. So that anxiety that comes up before you're talking to someone, for me, I mean, it all comes from the same place. So I don't really think there's a big difference.
Okay. And I want to circle back to something that you said before about your posture. So, does holding tension in your body impact your language at all?
Of course, of course, of course, because a big percentage of what we say through our bodies, we say through our faces, and not necessarily through our words. So if you're tense and you're holding all of this tension in your neck or your shoulders or even your forehead or your stomach, it it really comes across in the way you speak and the way you deliver your ideas. It amplifies the stress that you might already feel, the anxiety that you might already have, kind of anticipating being in that moment. So absolutely. And you can also send the wrong message. I can be telling you I'm the most confident woman in the world, but looking like this, you're not going to believe me. So absolutely, holding that tension in your body, you really have to practice your breathing, practice your stretching so that you can improve with that.
Mhm. And so, are those the things that you should do right before you have a presentation or go live? Should you do breathing techniques or do some of the other tips that you just suggested right before?
Yeah, I mean, not everything works for everybody. So, you have to definitely try different things. Try the recordings, like you were saying. Try, different tactics to practice and really calm your nerves. But yeah, I would say I definitely did. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous to do this. But, nerves mean you care. And I think that we all need to reframe that nervous energy into something that's positive. We can channel that into being really passionate in our delivery. But yes,
Yeah.
you have to go for it.
And speaking of nerves, I always think, even though you're prepared, it's good to be nervous. And for me, it just shows that I'm in the moment, that I'm, feeling whatever I need to feel. And it kind of pushes me. The only other thing it would be just to be prepared. If you're prepared and then have the little nerves, it's fine. You'll just get through it. And usually, maybe 10 minutes in, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm focused and I'm good. But I just always think that the nervousness should never go away, in my opinion.
I 100% agree. Preparedness is the biggest key, because even if you're prepared, you can still make a mistake. Things don't always go the way you want them to go. But if you're unprepared, you're going to make a lot more mistakes. You're going to be a lot more nervous. It's going to go even farther left than what you want it to. So 100% agree with being prepared. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then just to piggyback again off of something you said, how do you handle that if you make a mistake? How do you get back on track?
Well, few people might have noticed I just completely lost my train of thought on 2 questions ago, but you just have to keep going. You know what I mean? Because
Yes.
it's like, I'll give the example of a kid who calls their teacher mommy. So embarrassing,
Mhm.
right? Or when you say I love you when you get off the phone trying to order a pizza, something like that. Embarrassing, right? And you think about it and you dwell on it, and it's like, oh my gosh, it really messes with your head. But that pizza guy, Mrs. Hughes, your third grade teacher, they forgot about it. Like, they don't
Yeah.
remember that. They remember how great of a student you were, or they remember how much money they made in tips that night, or whether you were nice to them on the phone. Like, they don't remember as much as you do and replay it as much as you do that you made a mistake. You're the only person who knows what your message is. You're the only person who knows what you want to say next. You're the only person who might know if you messed up. So take a break if you need to, pause, and just let it go. Don't hype yourself up in your head to the point where you stop yourself from sending the message that somebody in your audience really needs to hear, because they're rooting for you. Like, people who are watching this live, they wouldn't be watching it if they weren't Rosie supporters. They wouldn't be watching it if they didn't want answers to the questions that we're talking about right now. So they don't want you to freeze and mess up, and they're not going to laugh at you and say, oh, she don't know what she like, as long as you can get your wits about you, you're human. It's relatable, and people are going to remember the impact that they come away with more than they remember the fact that you stopped talking for 5 seconds.
Yeah. 100% agree. And people often forget, like you said, that you are human. Nobody is expecting you to be a robot and not make any mistakes. And I often do. The last live, I just couldn't get it together. I was fumbling over my words, and I just owned it. I'm like, Rosie, what's wrong with you? Get that out and continued on. I mean, I will acknowledge it. I know some people don't, but I'm just like, Rosie, what's wrong with you? And there was literally somebody right there, I was interviewing, and I got myself back on track and had a great interview. But, sometimes it happens. Don't let it, like you said, stop you from continuing on. Like you said, take a pause, acknowledge it if you want to, whatever you need to do to get yourself back on track, but just don't stop and turn the live off or run off the stage or wherever it is. So
got this. You got to really big up yourself. I mean, that's kind of what I was saying in the beginning about your relationship with self-judgment. You have to decide that your worth isn't decided by a mistake, because you can have a great, look at you. You've grown a massive following. You're an immense success. You're over here interviewing people and doing what you're doing. And you're not going to let the fact that you messed up alive tell you that all of a sudden you're not qualified to do what you're doing, or you're a bad speaker, or, the things that we do tell ourselves when we do make a mistake. You just have to take it at face value. I made a mistake, or I lost my words, or whatever it is, and don't beat yourself up about it. It's okay.
Yeah. Now, eye contact. A lot of people find it hard to do it. What tips do you have to help them, conquer that?
Well, first of all, I get it, because eye contact is intimidating. It's very intense, and it's not always easy. So what I recommend, again, this is all a matter of practice. If you can't make eye contact right now, or if you struggle with it right now, make sure you're challenging yourself to get to that next step where you can at some point in the future. But this box here on your face, from your eyebrows to like about here on your upper lip, is a pretty safe zone to where if I'm looking at you, it kind of looks like I am making eye contact. Not here via the computer, but if we're face to face and I'm looking here in between your eyes, or I'm looking at the tip of your nose, it still feels like you're looking at me, to a point where I don't feel like you're not paying attention. I still feel acknowledged, and it can help you because you're not looking at someone's pupils. So just start there. If you need to work your way up, start here, then move here, move to the center, and then explore different types of eye contact. When we look at one person's face, we often don't realize that eye contact means that we're really staring at only one of their eyes very intently. If you really pay attention, you're never really staring at both of the person's eyes when you're making eye contact, because that's like a little bit weird.
I noticed that. I want to challenge myself to look. No, I never noticed that. Okay.
Yeah, because what happens if we're looking at both eyes, we're kind of splitting our focus. So it's not as intense as if I stare both of my eyes into one. And now you really feel like, oh, like that's the chilling moment in the soap operas where it's like, oh, like that's a look. So explore different types, just see. The most important point is to pick one area of the face and focus on that. So even if you're not making eye contact, let's say you're making brow contact, just
Mhm.
look at that and keep that as your focus. Nod. Don't look there and then here and then here and then here and then here and then here, because now I know you're freaking out. So,
Mhm.
just pick one point to focus on, whatever that can be for you for right now, and then work your way up to it.
Okay. Now, what about you are just talking to yourself on a live or something like that? How would you do that? Just what would you suggest for that?
Yeah, so on a camera, you want to look directly into the camera if you can, which is a challenge. And I definitely have not been doing that this whole time because I'm also kind of looking at me and I'm looking at you. So it is definitely a challenge. But if it's something like a YouTube video or a live, as you mentioned, then you want to be looking directly into the camera, because when your audience watches it back, they'll feel like you're looking at them. But if you look
Mhm.
somewhere like here or here, which is me looking at me and you, and then you watch it back for a third party looking at you on camera, you're missing that effect. We call that breaking the
Yeah.
fourth wall on stage.
Okay. And yeah, and you lose the connection too, because it's like, are you looking at me? Like, what
Right.
are you doing? Like, I'm here. Like, I'm here.
Right.
So I get it. And now what I like too, like the iPhone has like a green dot. And you can,
Mhm.
before they didn't have that. And so with that, I always tell people, look at that. That's the camera. That's what you should be looking and focusing on. So I'm happy that
Exactly.
they did that. Yeah,
That's what
because
I'm
that
doing right
helps.
now. Little green tie. Yep.
I because you get confused because like you said, if you're looking, you have the big screen, but you don't want to look at that. You want to look like you're talking and speaking to the person. So yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree. So what is the benefit of working with a public speaking coach?
Well, I would say working with a coach really gives you the ability to go back and forth with someone. You want that customized attention, because public speaking is different for everybody. Everyone has a different relationship with it. Everyone has different reasons why they experience it. Everyone experiences it in different situations and to different degrees. So by working with a coach, you're really getting a solution that's right for you, as opposed to something that you might look up online and it sounds okay, but you tried it and you don't know what to do next. It really takes the guesswork out of getting to your goal.
Yeah. And on average, how long does it take? I know everybody has their own level and somebody's anxiety may be, a little bit more stronger than the other person. But on average, how long does it take someone to go from zero to actually, doing a pretty good job at public speaking?
I wouldn't say it takes long. I mean, I really like to go deep, 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 deep. Like, if you're feeling unconfident, why? Let's talk about that first. Let's talk about your insecurities first so we can really build up. So, the groundwork is probably the thing that I would say takes the longest. But at the end of the day, we speak every single day. On average, 7,000 words are coming out of our mouths every single day. So it certainly doesn't take long to just practice writing your words down and planning and delivering them in a compelling way, as only you can as an individual.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this has been great. And my next question is, what's next for you?
Wow. So I am hoping to launch my very first online course. Um,
Yay!
yes. So hopefully by the end of the summer, we will have that launched. I will be welcoming my first cohort. And yeah, I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing. My business is still relatively new, so only forward from here.
Wonderful, wonderful. So hopefully you will get a couple of clients from this bandwidth interview. And
I hope
also,
so.
yes. And then leading into the next question, how can people stay connected with you?
You can follow my business page, which is at Present in Public. I also have a website, which is presentinpublic.co, not .com, presentinpublic.co. And you can subscribe there to my email list. And my email address is also hello@presentinpublic.co if you want to contact me directly. And I look forward to answering any questions. Absolutely.
Oh, this has been great. Thank you so much for being on the bandwidth, and I wish you much success.
Thank you so much, Rosie. I had so much fun.
Not a problem. So again, if you have enjoyed this live, please make sure that you comment your biggest takeaway. Definitely want to engage with you. And if you know one person that could benefit from this live, share it with them. Please, please, please subscribe to our channel. Click that thumbs up and hit the notification button. And also follow us on IG and also Facebook. And if you're ready to go live, sign up to get my 3 must-have tools to go live. The link is in the bio. And that's all I have. And I will see you next week with another episode of The Bandwidth. Bye-bye.